Good day, loyal viewers and first-timers as well. Welcome to MC Commute. My name is Zach, and I'm about to ride to my office. On today's show, we have got a little bike, a little sport bike. That's a Ninja 400. I grew from the Ninja 300, which grew from the Ninja 250, which has been around approximately since the Jurassic era. So we'll talk about the evolution of the baby Ninja. We'll talk about the class a little bit, and hopefully some other interesting stuff as we take this brand new for 2018 motorcycle on the daily commute. So join me, won't you? Okay.
All right, okay. Ninja 4 Hundo. What we got here? New wheels that are lighter, I believe. ABS, which it had before. That's $200 option, or no, $300 option, I believe. 310 millimeter little pedal rotor that Kawasaki's been doing for a while now. Two-piston Nissan caliper. This KRT, Kawasaki Race Team paint, or decal package or whatever. I believe that's a $200 option. But yeah, it's pretty snazzy looking motorcycle. And then a little spoiler alert to my least favorite part. See this little mark on the muffler guard? That's because that's where my foot hits. Everybody's foot hits, annoyingly. Anyway, yeah, Ninja 400. I do think it got better looking. That's my impression of it anyway. I think vroom, vroom. I think it's a handsome looking little machine. I never really loved the way the 300 looked. It was okay, but not great. But I think this one's like, I don't know. It's cool. Okay, enough already. Let's go. Alrighty, so yeah, lots to unpack. As Ari said in his First Ride article, which I will link to in the description of this video, if you point to a part on the new Ninja 400, it's probably been updated or is new from the 300. So it really is a pretty comprehensive overhaul. Now it has a 399cc parallel twin, 180 crank, so pistons are going up in there like that. And it weighs about 370 pounds. It makes about 43 horsepower. Friendly reminder that there's a short list of stats in the description of this video, as well as a link you can click to see some more specs on it and a dyno chart. I put the question out on Instagram of what you guys wanted to know about this bike. A lot of people wanted to know what the engine's like and how is it different other than being, 104 cc's larger, 103 cc's larger, I think. I don't really know what to say to that. It's not much different. It feels similar. It's just stronger. It's bigger. And 100 cc's from 296 to 399 is a big jump. So it's significant. Plus, the bike is lighter than it was before. So, big strides. For sure. And here we go off. Oh, good looking old Corvette. Corvette? I think so. Good looking car. Here we go off of the first bit of performance. And we're up to the speed limit already in first gear. Going 40 miles an hour, no big deal. That brings up a point actually, because people who think little bikes are too slow or whatever, you can ride them fast, and that's kind of what's fun about it. You can like wring its neck a little bit. You can like hold it wide open, which you just can't do with an R1, really. I mean, you can't do it legally, and you can't do it wisely, that's for sure. Now is about the time we usually talk about ergonomics, and this bike is pretty good, I have to say. It's pretty comfortable. It's got kind of a sport touring kind of a feel to it. It looks real racy, right? You see it on a show where you're gonna think like, oh, it's probably, it's gonna feel like a 636 or a ZX10 or an R6, or it's gonna be like a real racy bike. But these beginner bike, 300 class sport bikes are typically a lot more relaxed. They're realistically a much more relaxed riding position. The bar is quite a bit higher, and that's good news for you and me and everybody, because they're more comfortable. And if someone's going to go and buy this bike as their first bike, then they're going to ride around and they're going to think, this is pretty fun, it's pretty comfortable, I like this, I could ride it all day. But practically, this is a very nice little motorcycle. The seat does sort of pitch forward a little bit more than I would like. It sort of pitches you into the tank a little bit, but it's not so bad. And they were probably going for the seat height to be low, which is 30.9 inches, so you know, call it 31, which is very reasonable. And it's narrow in the middle, so it's very approachable machine, which is sort of the whole point, as we know. Another question I got on the social media was about comfort for tall riders. I'm 6'2", so I'm not like, you know, crazy tall or anything, but maybe a little bit taller than the average person who's going to buy this bike, and I find it pretty comfortable. I could stand for a little bit more legroom. The good news is that Kawasaki makes a taller seat, I believe, as an accessory, so you could like sort of prop yourself up a little bit. But honestly, I don't find it wildly uncomfortable. There's enough legroom, you know, for a day in the saddle, I think, without feeling too cramped up, which is saying something, I think. Oh, I touched the rev limiter. 12,500, I believe. 12.5 rev limiter. As for the sound of the engine, the actual sound, I've never been a big fan of the 180-degree parallel twin sound. But anytime I say that, I get people that say, I've got a Ninja 650 and I love the way it sounds. Or I have an R3 and I love the way it sounds. And if you love it, then that is just balubas. You have a good time with that. Don't let anyone else tell you how your bike should sound or what you should like, because that's malarkey. I prefer the kind of bassy note of an FZ07 or an R1 or you know, that kind of thing, but that's just me. All right, real acceleration test here. I'm already breaking the speed limit. Gotta shut it down. It's just too fast, too much performance. To address some specific questions about the performance, some people asked about top speed. I'm not going to test top speed this morning, but I can tell you that I did see a top speed test by a certain colleague of mine on a closed course, and it was about 120 miles an hour indicated, 121, 22, 120, something like that. So for those of you who are for some perverse reason interested in the top speed of a Ninja 400, there you have it. People also asked about it wheeling, which I guess we'll experiment with later if we get an opportunity. It's not gonna wheelie away from you, that's for sure. It does bring up the topic, though, of just sort of general performance in this class. One question I saw was, did Kawasaki ruin this class by making a bigger engine? And that discussion, it could be its own whole podcast, I think. You know, there was a Ninja 250 and a CBR 250 for a long time, and there was some parity there, and it was all well and good. And then the R3 came along, and it was a 321, and then the RC390 came along, and it was a 373. And then now we got the Ninja 400, which is a 399 twin, unlike the 373 single and the RC390. So, you know, it's a tricky business, trying to win over customers and have the best bike. I will say this for the Ninja 400, I don't think that it is wildly intimidating. I don't think the bike has become a different class or anything compared to the Ninja 300. I think it's still a great bike to start on. It's not intimidating, it's not too fast, but I do see it as the top of a pretty slippery slope when it comes to you know, inviting people into motorcycling with an unintimidating bike. It is extremely unintimidating. The clutch is light, doesn't make a ton of power, it doesn't weigh very much, and those are all good things. But yeah, would it be possible for this to grow into, oh, we racing? We racing? Yeah, we racing. Oh man, Ninja 400. keeping up with Dude Bro and whatever this is. Oh, it's a Hyundai. Okay, can't get too excited about that. But, you know, small victories. Okay, let's talk about brakes really quick here. We talked about the brakes briefly. That's a Nissan caliper up there and a 310mm rotor. It's, I don't know, I give the brake a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10. It's good, it's adequate. I give it a passing grade. It's not super interesting though. For the class, I like the brake on the CBR 300 is better. It's the best one in the class in my opinion. The RC390 also has a better brake than this does. The R3 brakes are not great. Jix's 250 brakes are not great. So that gives you sort of an idea of where it sits in the class. Ari said when he rode this bike at oh, racing again. Here he goes. Yeah, get it. Little Ninja 400 street race with that Hyundai. Good stuff. Anyway, when Ari said he rode this bike on the track, the front brake did fade a little bit, which is too bad to hear. And the lever is not adjustable, as you'll know if you saw the. Whoa! Quite a red light there, fella. Anyway, yeah, you'll learn a little bit more about the brakes if you were to click on our On Two Wheels episode with this small sport bike shootout. Again, I'll put that link in the description of this video. And off we go into the meat grinder of California traffic. One thing I find myself noticing in situations such as these in traffic is how intuitive the controls are to use the switchgear, the blinkers, the passing lights, the horn, that kind of thing. And this is an area where the Ninja 400 does really well, in my opinion. And it's probably because Kawasaki knows what they're doing when they build motorcycles. They've been doing it for a long time now. And it's nice. The switchgear is pretty nice. The dash is also nice. We'll talk about that a little later if we get a chance. And yeah, I'd just like to say that it feels like a nice, high-quality machine. It doesn't feel like a cheap little thing. Some people asked about the mirrors, and I know why you're asking about mirrors, you brown nosers, because you know I love talking about them. The mirrors are okay, not great. I think one thing about the mirrors that I noticed is that they're really far away. Like, check it out. This is my riding position, normal riding position, and if I reach without moving my shoulders, I can't even touch the mirrors. I can't reach them. I have to like lean way forward to touch them. They're just really far away from me, my shoulders, and therefore my eyes. And I think that makes them kind of, you know, a little bit less useful. No, we're not quite going freeway speeds, but you know, we're going the speed limit basically, 60 or 65. I can say that the Ninja's pretty comfortable doing this. I mean, you could ride this bike across the country and you'd be fine. You wouldn't be as comfortable as you would be on, you know, an actual sort of touring bike or something like that. But you could do it, and it has enough legs, and it gets 50, 55 miles to the gallon, which means you'll go 150, 200 miles on the 3.7 gallons of gas, I think is what it holds. Yeah, it gets a little buzzy. Now we're going 75, 70, 75. But yeah, it's pulling between 7,000 and 8,000 RPM at these speeds, and yeah, you could go, you can cruise at 80 if you want to. Quick shout out to the suspension also. I think on this bike is quite good. It's pretty basic componentry. It's a 41mm fork, I think, and a pretty basic shock, but I just think it's calibrated pretty well. It doesn't feel like it's wildly soft or way too stiff, and there's decent balance between the fork and shock, which is important. So yeah, they did a good job. And Ari rode this bike on the track, as you may or may not know. Again, I'll put the link in the description for that stuff. And he said it was a hoot, and he knows what he's talking about. Try and let it breathe a little bit to this Nissan, and then we'll attack this off-ramp. That didn't last very long. But anyway, the point is, the Ninja's really fun to lean over. It's fun on a twisty road. It's fun on a racetrack. It's just it's a good bike, and it's definitely up for your first track day, no question. All right, roll on power. I think that's where the bigger engine really kind of comes into play, is that kind of thing, you know, just like rolling it on in third or fourth gear and, you know, catching up to or passing traffic or something. That's where that the engine's going to help. And if you live in a place where you only have to go 55 or 60 miles an hour, then honestly it's not really going to do anything for you beyond what a Ninja 300 or even a Ninja 250 would do. But if you live in a place where the freeways flow at 80 miles an hour, then the extra displacement will be worth something to you. So some people want to know how it compares to the other bikes in the class. We talked briefly about brakes. It's faster than the other bikes in the class. As for the Commute, I think the suspension is better calibrated than say a Yamaha R3. It feels more like a CBR 300 in that respect. The CBR 300 has very balanced suspension. The RC390 is just much more aggressive riding position. It actually feels like a little sport bike. The seat's a lot taller. You pitch forward a little bit more, so it's just more yeah, it's much more comfortable than that bike. The R3 doesn't have much on the Ninja 400, I have to say. They look similar. Yeah, let's try a wheelie, shall we? Oh, look at that! I'm surprised. Good job. All right. Wow. I actually hadn't experimented with a wheelie until then, so that's something. And then we got to see if we can back it in, right? That's pretty smooth. It's got a nice slipper clutch. You cannot turn off ABS, so I had to do that all at the clutch. But yeah, the slipper clutch works really nicely. If you want to hooliganize your parking lot, like I do sometimes. Doesn't have enough power to just hoss it up and spin the tire like I did on the Goldwing or Speed Triple or something like that. So, sorry about that. To get back to other bikes, I think I kind of covered the comparisons a little bit. The R3's shock is real soggy, and I don't really like it, if I'm honest. Ninja 400's got it licked there. Oh, the dash Mahoo's it. That's what we didn't do. We didn't talk about the dash Mahoo's it. Jeez. All right, we got to do that right now. The dash is really nice. Big analog tach, and speed shown nice and big digitally. And let's see. Yeah, there we go. Look at it. It's real nice. It's got a gear position indicator, which I think is a useful thing. Fuel gauge and trip meters up at the top, and then some data down at the bottom. It's got range, which is a nice feature. It's a simple dash, but they did it right, and that's the bottom line. You know, if they tried, they could have screwed it up, but they didn't. And lastly, what we need to talk about is price. $5,000 is the base price, plus the ABS and the Kawasaki race team paint, and you're gonna pay 5,500 American dollars in the US of A for this bad Melberg, which is the same price as an RC390. And I believe the starting price of $5,000 is right in line with the R3. CBR 300 is a little cheaper, I think, as is the Gixxis 250, but don't worry about the Gixxis, in my opinion. Let's hear that little parallel twin sound. Does it kind of sound like a Ninja 300 or an R3 to you? Well, it should. It's basically the same thing. It's just a little bit bigger. So there you have it. Ninja 4 Hundo. All right, I saved some questions from you guys. Again, we're gonna go through these real quick. Which one buys a daily driver, this or the 390 Duke? I don't know, good question. That's really about taste. I like naked bikes. I might get the Duke, but this is probably better on the track if you're ever going to do a track day. Oh, enough motor to practically ride with a passenger. Yeah, I think so. You know, it's not going to be, not going to tear your arms off, and I don't know how comfortable said passenger will be, but yeah, I think it can do it. What's my take on the oversaturation of beginner bikes? No such thing. Beginner bikes are great, even for people who aren't beginners, such as myself. And I don't think there's such a thing as too many, because even if they're really cheap, that means they're going to be even cheaper on the second hand. It's going to drive prices down across the market, and I think more people will end up paying less for motorcycles, so I like it. Since it's lighter than the 300, does it get pushed around more on the highway? No, absolutely not. It's fine. Do you think it's worth the Ninja badge? Yeah, I do. Absolutely. Especially if you think the 250 or the 300 was worth it. Does it pull up power wheelies, or do you have to drop the clutch? You gotta drop the clutch. We just did that. What kind of mileage and range can we expect? It covered it. How's the quick shifter? There's no quick shifter. Top speed, covered it. Bite on the brakes. Not a lot of bite, but I think it's calibrated well for a new rider. RC390 or Ninja 400, which bike do I recommend? Gotta watch the On Two Wheels episode. Link in description. Does it heat up in traffic? Engine heat. No, it doesn't make enough power to heat up. If you have engine heat problems on a bike this size, something's up, I think. Because yeah, there's not a lot of power, and it's engineered nicely. Doesn't breathe a lot of heat on you. Is it the new 400 motor thrown into a 650 frame? No, it's its own thing. How are the mirrors? Covered it. Wheelie, covered it. Stoppy. No, you can't shut off ABS. So unless you pull the fuse or disable ABS somehow, you're probably not going to do any stoppies. Could you cruise at 75 for hours? Yes, I think so. That's all the questions we have time for right now. I do appreciate it. Keep your eye on my Instagram feed for MC Commute upcomings so that you can be one of the people that asks the question. I would love that. I am at Zack Courts, literally and figuratively. Thanks for riding along. Really appreciate it. We'll see you guys next time on an MC Commute. Hopefully we'll have some more fun. See ya.